In this section, we're looking at food and energy consumption, and this is a review from last year. So we did do this once last year, but here's a reminder and a couple of exam style questions that we'll do together. So if you haven't had a look at these yet, I would recommend that you have a go at the questions before you watch the video, and you can check whether your answers are correct. So when we're looking at food and energy, so when we eat food, we get energy from it. So when we're looking at nutrition in food, we measure it in joules, kilojoules, or sometimes also in calories. So just a couple of conversions. If I've got 1 kilojoule, that's 1,000 joules. So you can see the word kilo, it means 1,000. So that's your conversion. If we're looking at mega is 1,000 bigger than a kilo. So you could say that a megajoule has 1,000 kilojoules, or if we convert it the whole way through, it's 1,000,000 joules. The special one is a calorie. Okay, so that's a less used unit of measurement now. So a calorie, or sometimes also called a kilocalorie, is equal to 4.184 kilojoules. So that's a conversion that you will be given in an exam if you are asked to use it. So let's have a look at this first example. So we've got a boxer, he skips to keep fit. And here's some information about the kilojoules per kilogram of body mass. Okay, so that's going to be really important here. And it's looking at skipping for 10 minutes at different speeds. So Cassius, he eats a hamburger that contains 550 kilocalories. We know Cassius weighs 72 kilograms, and we need to work out how long he needs to skip at 150 skips per minute. So with that information, we're going to highlight the main bits. So starting from here, we know that we're using the 150 skips per minute and that's going to be this amount of energy. So the 90 is there as a trick, so make sure you don't use that. Another thing that we're given, so there's the 150 calories of the hamburger, Cassius weighs 72 kilograms, and we have been given this conversion. So we will need to use this. So the first thing we do is we're going to work out how many calories, well, how much energy he's actually consumed. So when you're answering these questions, make sure you label every single line of your working out so that you know what you're actually calculating. It's not just a whole bunch of numbers thrown onto the page. So we're going to work out the energy in the hamburger. So energy in hamburger. So we know 1 kilocalorie is 4.184 kilojoules. So if I've got 550 kilocalories, that's 550 times 4.184. And that's equal to 2,301.2 kilojoules. So that's the first thing that we needed to work out. Okay, how much energy he's actually consumed. What we then need to work out is the amount of energy that he's using every time he's skipping. So we're using 150 skips per minute, and we know that the energy used in 10 minutes is 24.18 kilojoules per kilogram of his mass. Okay, so it's really important that we interpret that rate very carefully. So to work out the energy that he would use, let's start with the 10 minutes, okay, as it's got here, because we need to work out for his 72 kilogram body first. So energy used in 10 minutes. Okay, so we know that it's 24.18 kilojoules per kilogram, and he's 72 kilograms in weight. So we can say that the energy used would be 24.18 times his weight 72. And that's going to give us 1740.96 kilojoules. And that's for a 10-minute block of skipping. In order to work out the amount of time he needs to exercise for, rather than working out for 10 minutes, we actually want the energy used per minute. Okay, so when we go to work out using the rates, it actually gives us the value straight off. So energy used per minute. We know for 10 minutes it's going to be 1740. So to work out for 1 minute, we're going to divide by 10. So it's 174.096 kilojoules. Just be careful here, don't round the number off yet. Leave it in its exact form and we'll round it off right at the end. So what we have here is he uses 174.096 kilojoules in 1 minute. Right now we need to work out how many minutes it will take to expend the whole 2301.2 kilojoules of the hamburger. So the exercise time is 2301.2 divided by 174. And when we work that out, we get 13.218 something, and that's in minutes. So if we want a more accurate value or something that we can use a bit better, we can change it into minutes and seconds. So you press the bubble button, the degree button on your calculator, and you get 13 minutes and 13 seconds. Okay. Oh, the question asks for 1 decimal place. Okay, scrap that. Let's round that to 1 decimal place, 13.2. There we go. Here's a lesson of reading the question carefully. So make sure you read all the bits of information. Sometimes they will give you more information than you need, but often you'll need to use quite a lot of information, particularly because this question's worth 3 marks. Okay, it won't be just a matter of dividing two numbers. Okay, you can see that there's almost 3 things that you have to do in order to work out the answer. Okay, so that's a bit of an indication of how long your response will need to be. Let's have a look at the next question. Okay, so we've got Oscar and Nadine. They select a meal from this table below. And we've got the energies in kilojoules. So there's no calories there. We can just go straight into our kilojoules. Oscar has a hamburger, so I'll just highlight this as we go. Oscar has a hamburger. Nadine has the lamb souvlaki. So the hamburger was, there's the energy. So we don't really need the fat or the salt values because we're really just talking about energy. And Nadine had the lamb souvlaki, and that's right there. Okay, so those are the values that link to each other. After dinner, Oscar goes for a run, and he uses 25 kilojoules per minute of energy. Nadine also goes for a walk. Okay, so the walk's a little bit less than the run, and she's using 12 kilojoules per minute. So the question is, who's going to use up all of those kilojoules the fastest and by how many minutes? There's 2 parts to that question. Who and by how much? So make sure you read these questions carefully. So let's start with Oscar. I'll do it in red. So for Oscar, we're going to work out, firstly, how much energy he's consumed, and then also the time it's going to take to use up all the energy. So energy consumed and we know it was just a hamburger, so it's 5,050 kilojoules. Okay, we know that he's using it at 25 kilojoules per minute, so the time to expend or use energy is going to be 5,050 divided by 25. And we get 202 minutes here. What we then need to do is work out Nadine's energy. So Nadine, the energy so if we go back up, it was 1,872. So then the time it would be 1,872 divided by 12. Okay, so it was 12 kilojoules every minute. And then so the time that it's going to take for this is 156 minutes. Okay, so we can now answer the question, who's going to expend the kilojoule intake the quickest? We want to find the smallest time. So Nadine's going to use all that energy the fastest. Then we need to work out by how many minutes. So the difference is 202 minus 156, and that's equal to 46 minutes. So then we can answer the question. So Nadine will expend the energy the quickest by 46 minutes. There we go. So we've made sure that we've answered the whole question, okay, and we've shown all of the working out. So if you label, if you want, you can use color as well, but as long as you label everything so we can see clearly where you're getting your information from, what the calculations are, and what your results are from your calculations. That's it for an explanation. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of how to set out a question. If you can go to 702 and have a go at those questions.